I was recording on my phone and then I got cut off. So I'm going to attempt to do the entire video on here. Let's hope that I don't get cut off in the process. But today I'm going to be talking about the level of hate that black and brown women, especially when they're melanated women, right? Darker skinned women receive when navigating this world. Um, and I'm going to bridge that gap with something that I also encountered yesterday that once again showcases the hate, because this is something that and apologies if you hear noise in the background. There is someone coming today to get some work done out here, and naturally my dog is always very excited to see and hear people. So yeah, so with that being said, I wanted to start off by speaking on this experience and encounter that I had yesterday. Hopefully you guys can hear me, because I know that there's been mentions about the mic. I'm going to try to talk much louder, but yes, it's a little difficult because not everything that I have is compatible with, and I have a mic and I don't know what it was, but it wasn't working with the computer, and it was at some point, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't with technology. It's a bit much for me. And if you know me, you know that I kind of go off track sometimes, but I feel like there's so much that I want to say a lot of times, and yeah, there's so little time, and naturally there's so little space on my phone or my laptop. These are very old devices. I've had these for a long time now. So yes, yesterday I was at an event, or more so a gathering, and the majority of the population there were Latinos. I'm a Latina myself, and one of the women that was there, while I was introducing myself and mentioning the countries of my parents, I saw that in her face, her expression was, just downright off-putting. It was just like she wasn't pleased with what I guess what I was saying in terms of the countries my parents were from. And then she proceeds to say a very ignorant comment, which was, well, not surprising in this case, given the fact that I could already see in her face that she was, well, not perhaps the kindest individual, but let's keep it real. And I speak on this as well. Feminism, most of the time, if not all of the time, doesn't really uphold black and brown women, period. It always seems to protect white or white adjacent women, but forget the black and brown women. And I see those patterns time and time again. It's women that are just lighter skin, are white, being often the most hateful, jealous towards women of color. And once again, this is going to lead me to speak about Olandria and Chelley. So when I did finished introducing myself, she proceeds to say, and if you know Spanish, but I will also translate this, you will know what I'm saying. Tu te ve hindú. So first and foremost, she said, I want to make sure that Hindu is first and foremost a religion. So Hinduism, right? She said, you look Hindu. If you understand Spanish and was able to understand that transition, she said, you look Hindu, which I understand what she was hinting towards and stating. She was saying, you look Indian, or of Indian ancestry. Also, maybe perhaps she was also pointing to, you look South Asian, or of South Asian ancestry, regarding other countries that are in close proximity. And by that, I mean individuals that perhaps look more or less similar, right? So for clarification, the correct way of putting that would have been, tu te ve India, right? From India, not, because there's multiple religions within countries, within the entire world. So not all individuals, interestingly enough, the very person that directs this whole event, she is actually of Indian ancestry, if not from India. And she specifically said, well, I'm Indian, but I'm of a different faith. So that's those two are not the same, right? um, Once again, showcasing the racism, but I mean, not the racism, the ignorance. And you know what? This leads me to also wonder for a minute, is it also hinged on colorism? Because it's like interesting that very often I come across conversations or just like videos online where a lot of more melanated women and men are questioned regarding their identity, regarding their ancestry. Um, so is it hard to believe that someone that has more melanin, mind you, I love sitting under the sun. So I love getting that good old sun, which is going to bring me to another point later on today. Um, and yeah, there is like the Latin American world is racially diverse. That's another thing to consider and to be mindful of. Not all Latin Americans are of European ancestry or descent. Naturally, Spain colonized Latin America, so we also have to be mindful of the fact that a lot of the individuals that speak Spanish, if not, a lot of the individuals who speak Spanish were also indigenous populations, had their own language, their own belief systems, and naturally we had other communities that ended up in Latin America, right? So it's just to even believe that there's such a thing as what a Latina looks like is mind blowing, given the fact that we were colonized. um, so there's that. I wanted to say that much because I feel like I find that a lot of times, and this has been something that I've always also encountered time and time again. And this has led me, actually, I wanted to talk and say this in this video. I'm just like, I really, I've been very intentional in terms of finding community in Black and brown women, to be honest, because and brown women that are honored to be melanated, right? Are honored to be who they are. Because I see much too often a lot of self-hate in other minority communities, and that leads me to also feel unsure of whether in those spaces I'll be hearing a colorist or racist statement, because many individuals don't dare to even question, especially within our communities of color, dare to question these ideas and beliefs that essentially have been shoved down our throat and have been normalized and therefore have become a reality in our communities. These ideas that are hinged on racism and colorism and colonization. Let's keep it real. So there's that. I do find that it's super important, and I just want to say, where are the Black and brown proud women that gather together, that find community together? Because I feel like we need more of that. And I'm going to actually share an experience, an example that also mirrors this very experience from yesterday. I was gathering with a group of women. Mind you, they were, if most, if not all, were of immigrant backgrounds. Interestingly enough, they were lighter skinned, so I'll say that much. All of them were light-skinned women, but from different parts of the world: East Asia, the Middle East. Some from here, born and raised here, but others like having East Asian background. And I remember one of the young women, was talking about her region, which was in the Middle East, and I was just like, oh yeah, like I've been to a specific country in the Middle East, and I don't I don't even know how this conversation started necessarily, but we were just talking. I was like, "Oh, cool. Like I'm very interested in the Arabic language, all, all that." And then she was telling me, I don't know how it ended up here, because it was just like, this is why I don't care to hang out with women that are, I'm going to keep it real, light-skinned women. Because the colorism, the hatred often to women that is exemplified, that are more melanated, is mind-blowing. It just tells me, okay, are you jealous, insecure of your own skin tone, that you have to put melanated women down? That's all that it's given, to be honest, because, and I've said this before, no one would hate on you or would care to hate on you unless you had something they wanted. I'm just going to keep it completely honest and real here. And this woman went on to say, that the Middle Eastern countries that have a larger white population, white looking population, the women there take care of themselves, opposed to other countries where there is more melanated women. Because I was just like, well, when I was in Saudi Arabia, where women, the majority of the women were melanated, one of the most beautiful women, I'm going to keep it completely honest. And it's sad to see how often women would be so quick to protect white or white adjacent women, but they don't have that same solidarity. And we see that, and that's why I say feminism really doesn't exist for melanated women, because we see that with Olandria and Chelley. But any opportunity that women that are not even white or look white, they have to walk over, disrespect, not uphold a more melanated woman's dignity, they are quick to do, right? And honestly, this actually reminded me of something else, because I was one of the young ladies actually from that very group, the one that had invited me, she was just, and it was just more of a realization that I feel like this world as a whole has shoved down the world, like shoved down people's throat colonization so heavily on a global level, that they start to normalize a false reality, right? They start to believe and uphold, without perhaps even knowing, right, how detrimental it is to communities of color and communities that look not European or European ancestry. How detrimental those are, that approach, that take. I remember her mentioning a specific celebrity, blonde white women, and she was just like, I can't believe so many men are saying that this lady is, or this celebrity is not attractive. And first and foremost, I have no idea why we are so concerned regarding a celebrity or women, or random women that we don't even know, like, first and foremost, and what has she done for, even our communities, like marginalized communities. What has she done for, what is she doing? Like, how is she contributing to it? To be honest, like, why are we constantly protecting white individuals as minorities when they don't even protect us? Like, it's just so bizarre. It's almost like, as soon as it's a black or more melanated individual, what happened? Did you say anything? It's just so bizarre. Like, there isn't that level of interest or engagement. There is, but as soon as it's a white person, there's enough level of engagement and interest. So she was just saying, she was telling me this, and she was just like, I can't believe it, like, and she was trying to get my approval in me saying, oh yes, this woman is very attractive, and to agree with her essentially. And I was just like, she's just, I don't know, like I don't know. I personally speaking, that is not what I personally find attractive. Like that's another thing. I feel like society tries to dictate and tell the world and people what they should find attractive. And it's interesting because I also came across a YouTube video, a short of in regards. I think it was a YouTube short or video. I guess he made a short on, and he's a biracial man, and he's married to this very beautiful, like just stunning. And when I first came across her YouTube channel, I was just like automatic subscribe, like beautiful black woman. And there was I guess a comment that they left on, because he has his own personal channel that they left on his channel, where they were saying, man, with your looks, because they're just both extremely attractive, with your looks, I would date a hot blonde. I was just like, what? Like, first and foremost, tell me like don't tell me what I should be thinking is attractive. First and foremost, don't be telling me what I should believe is attractive. That's the insanity of this world. The world has normalized such cultish behavior to be completely real. I notice time and time again, you have to think like me, you have to be like me. Like, no, I'm myself, I think for myself, thank you. He was just like, sir, what you might, or ma'am, what you might think is attractive is not what I think is attractive. It's not going to be the same thing as what I think is attractive. We're all individuals, period. So your preference might not be my preference, period. Like if you, and he was saying, he made an analogy. He was like, you might like coffee, I might like tea, or you might like tea and I might like coffee. We have different tastes. So I'm not saying that humans in no shape or way or form are food or anything such as that, but it's like the reality of this world, of this life, is that beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And I'm so tired of the world trying to dictate what people should believe, and that people should just simply pander, right, to whatever narrative ideas are pushed out into society and normalized in society. And I find that also coincides with this the situation and the backlash that Olandria and Chelley have received. Here are two beautiful black women, and I feel like it's more of like, how dare melanated or black women be attractive? How dare they garner attention? That's not the reality. That has never been the reality. That's what you have thought the reality has been. But people are individuals when all is said and done. People have different preferences, and people like different things. And that's the annoying part of it, where it's just like this expectation of, oh, black and brown women shouldn't garner attention, shouldn't garner, or shouldn't be perceived as attractive, shouldn't be perceived as having it all, right? It's more of like, and once again, a subconscious racism and colorism that exists within these individuals that say they uphold feminism, that they uphold women empowerment and one another, when that's clearly not displayed and hasn't been displayed historically. Yeah, and I have gone through, I feel like a lot, honestly, and this is why perhaps I speak on this so much, where it's just like feminism, I've never seen this, like this love and unity within women, because in all honesty, when I've navigated much of the world, it's so interesting how I see a lot of women, like they will fight, like even in our communities, in the communities of color, they will fight to uphold and say, yes, that white women, that women that looks more white adjacent is attractive. They will have no issue um, saying that. But as soon as there's a black, brown, more melanated, attractive women, they don't see anything. They don't, it's interesting how society normalizes also telling white individuals, but it's such a problem, such an issue to tell a black and brown person that they're attractive. It's almost like unbelievable. And honestly, I want to challenge the very community that has subscribed on here to let's take the initiative to tell the black and brown community whenever we see them, whenever we see someone that just catches our eye, you look amazing. You look amazing. Like, I feel like we need to, because I feel the normalcy of telling the white community or people that look white, just like allowing that to exist, the same should exist, right, for black and brown communities. And we shouldn't shy away from doing that, right? Especially if we're individuals that uphold our communities and know that our communities are everything and more, right? And I find that once again, this society, this environment has normalized certain things or many things, and this being part of that, right? And once again, that also goes hand in hand with the level of respect and kindness that is showcased to black and brown communities. Why is there harsher treatment towards the black and brown community? Does it all coincide, right? So yeah, that's something that we need to consider and take a moment and just step back from, because it's interesting to see all these dynamics play out, and we see that time and time again, because actions speak louder than words. And we as communities of color that believe in our communities, that love ourselves, showcase self-respect for ourselves, right? We know who we are, and we walk in, right, pride and honor to represent our ancestors. We also need to be actionable in our steps. And if that is letting our brothers and sisters know, hey, you look amazing, right? Because I feel like we haven't normalized it. We don't normalize that enough. Because I see too much fighting for a community that we're not even part of in our communities. Just wait a second. Do we know who we are? That's important. All right. Take care, everyone.